Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining this morning. Shrimad Bhagavatam class and attentive japa, which we will do later on, time permitting. So, we're talking about Brahmaji's generating different personalities. We've had the Saptarishis, we had Narad Muni, and then we had the Rudras. They all appeared, but nothing substantial has been achieved so far. So Brahmaji is thinking different strategies. How can he improve? So it's mentioned here, and we're talking about the appearance of Lord Varaha today. It's mentioned, O son of the Kurus, when Brahma saw that in spite of the presence of sages of great potency, there was no sufficient increase in population, he seriously began to consider how the population could be increased. And this is the opposite scenario of the Kali Yuga. Now we thinking, how can the population be reduced? But here they're thinking, how can the population be increased? So while he was thus absorbed in contemplation and was observing the supernatural power, two other forms were generated from his body, and they are still celebrated as the body of Brahma. So sage Maitreya said to Vidur, after his appearance, Manu. So Manu now appears and is known as the father of mankind, along with his wife, thus address the reservoir of Vedic wisdom, Brahma, with obeisances and folded hands. So Manu and his wife appear and they pay obeisances to Lord Brahma and say, you are the father of all living entities and the source of their subsistence because they are all born of you. Please order us how we may be able to render service unto you. So this is fantastic because this is what Brahma wants. He wants children who are ready to serve him any which way that is required, whatever is needful at the time. Because Srila Prabhupada mentions that a son's duty is not only to make the father the source of supply for all his needs. And, this is the usual way for whether it's a daughter or a son. We just go to parents for our needs. Sometimes we only speak to them when we want something. So, but supply for all his needs, but also when he's grown up, to render service unto him. That is the law of creation beginning from the time of Brahma. A father's duty is to bring up the son until he's grown. And when the son is grown up, it is his duty to render service unto the father. So it's a give and take. It's a two-way relationship, not one way. Let's do some prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Kroti Vachanam. Pangum Langyate Grim Yat Kirpata Mandeshi Guru Dina Taranam. Paramananda Madhvam Shitsaneshwaram. Hari Om Tassat. Narayanam Namskritya Naram Cheva Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyat. Nasta Presha Babadareshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevya. Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nestiki. Okay. So Manu carries on, oh worshipful one, please give us your direction for the execution of duty within our working capacity so that we can follow it for fame in this life and progress in the next. So Brahmaji is the direct recipient of Vedic knowledge from the personality of Godhead, and anyone discharging his entrusted duties in disciplic succession from Brahma is sure to gain fame in this life and salvation in the next. So the disciplic succession from Brahma is called the Brahma Sampradaya, which we ISKCON members belong to, and it descends as follows. So it starts with Brahma. Obviously, he got the knowledge from Narayan. Brahma, Narad, Vyas, Madhav Muni, Padnabhaya, Narhari, Madhava, Akshobhya, Jayatirath, Gyan Sindhu, Dhyanidhi, Vidyanidhi, Rajendra, Jayadharma, Purushotma, Brahma Tirtha, Vyasa Tirtha, Lakshmi Pati. Now these names you recognize, Madhavendra Puri and Ishwar Puri, the Guru of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we got Swarup Damodar and Sri Rupa Goswami and others. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Krishna Das Goswami, Narottam Das, Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Jagannath Babaji. These are our 6 Goswamis, not 6 Goswamis, our parampara. Jagannath Goswami, Jagannath Das Babaji, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gorakshara Babaji, Shri Bhakti Stanta Saraswati, and Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So this is how the succession has been coming all the way from Lord Brahma. So Shri Manu said, "O all-powerful Lord, O killer of all sins, I shall abide by your order. Now please let me know my place and that of the living entities born of me." So in other words, he wants to know, okay, I will do as you say, but where do I live? Where's my residence? O master of the demigods, please attempt to lift the earth, which is merged in the great water, because it is a dwelling place for all living entities. It can be done by your endeavor and by the mercy of the Lord. The great water mentioned in this connection is the Garbhodaka ocean, which fills half the universe. So the place of residence was going to be planet Earth. So Manu is saying that please have that, make it inhabitable for us. So Brahma thought, while I have been engaged in the process of creation, the earth has been inundated by a deluge and gone down into the depths of the ocean. What can we do who are engaged in this matter of creation? It is best to let the Almighty Lord direct us. So the devotees of the Lord, who are all competent servitors, are sometimes perplexed in the discharge of their respective duties, but they are never discouraged. So we get perplexed, but we should never be discouraged. They have full faith in the Lord, and He paves the way for the smooth progress of the devotee's duty. So, if something's not happening, okay, we feel a little bit let down, a little bit sad, but never be discouraged. Have confidence that it will manifest. Oh, sinless Vidur, all of a sudden, while Brahma was engaged in thinking, a small form of a bow came out of his nostril. So Brahma is very resourceful. Now a little bow, like a wild pig, came out of his nostril. The measurement of the creature was not more than the upper portion of a thumb. O descendant of Bharat, while Brahma was observing him, that bow became situated in the sky in a wonderful manifestation as a gigantic, as a great elephant. First of all, this bow was seen no bigger than the tip of a thumb. And within a moment, he was as large as a stone. My mind is perturbed. Is he the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu? And Brahma is thinking. Since Brahma is the supermost person in the universe and he had never before experienced such a form, he could guess that the wonderful appearance of the Lord was an incarnation of Vishnu, because who else could do that? The uncommon features symptomatic of the incarnation of Godhead can bewilder even the mind of Brahma. The omnipotent Supreme Person of Godhead enlivened Brahma and the other highly elevated Brahmanas by again roaring with his uncommon voice, which echoed in all directions. Brahma and other enlightened Brahmanas who know the Supreme Personality of Godhead are enlivened by the appearance of the Lord in any of his multi-incarnations. The appearance of the wonderful and gigantic incarnation of Vishnu is the mountain-like bow. Did not fill them with any kind of fear. Although the Lord's resounding voice was tumultuous and echoed horribly in all directions as an open threat to all demons who might challenge his omnipotency. So when the great sages and thinkers who are residents of Janlok, Tapalok, and Satyalok heard the tumultuous voice of the Lord Bo, which was the all auspicious sound of the all merciful Lord, they chanted auspicious chants from the three Vedas. So although this gigantic bow was very fearful, it sounded very fearful, it looked very fearful, but devotees of the Lord are never afraid. Just like Nrsingadev, Prahlad was not afraid of Lord Nrsingadev, even though he was in a very angry mood. The sound which he vibrated as the bow incarnation was answered by the Vedic hymns of the great sages in the planets Janlok, Tapalok, and Satyalok. The highest intellectual and pious living entities live on those planets, and when they heard the extraordinary voice of the bow, they could understand that the Pacific sound was vibrated by the Lord and no one else. Therefore, they replied by praying to the Lord with Vedic hymns. The earth planet was submerged in the Maya, but on hearing the sound of the Lord, the inhabitants of the high planets were all jubilant because they knew the Lord was there to deliver the earth. Therefore, Brahma and all the sages, such as Bhrigu, Brahma's other sons, and learned Brahmas were enlivened, and they concertedly joined in praising the Lord with the transcendental vibration of the Vedic hymns. The most important is the Brihan Narudya Puran verse. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So playing like an elephant, the bow entered the water after roaring again in reply to the Vedic praise by the great devotees. The Lord is the subject of the Vedic praise, and thus he understood that the devotees' praise were meant for him. The form of the Lord in any shape is always transcendental and full of knowledge and mercy. The Lord is a destroyer of all material contamination because his form is personified Vedic knowledge. All the Vedas worship the transcendental form of the Lord. In the Vedic mantras, devotees request the Lord to remove the glaring effulgence because it covers his real face. So Krishna, he stands behind his effulgence, as we know. That is the version of Ishopanishad. The Lord has no material form, but his form is always understood in terms of the Vedas. The Vedas are said to be breath of the Lord. So it says the Lord has no material form. Doesn't mean Lord doesn't have form. He has no material form. The Vedas are said to be the breath of the Lord, and that the breath was inhaled by Brahma, the original student of the Vedas. So it was passed on to Brahma from breath to breath. Exhale, inhale by Brahma. The breathing from the nostril of Brahma caused the appearance of Lord Bo, and therefore the Bo incarnation of Lord is the personified Vedas. So the Vedas were taken in through the nose, and then the bow comes from the nose, so it's personified Vedas in the shape of a bow. The glorification of the incarnation by sages on the higher planets consisted of factual Vedic hymns. Whenever there is glorification of the Lord, it is to be understood that Vedic mantras are being rightly vibrated. The Lord was therefore pleased when such mantras were chanted, and to encourage his pure devotees, he roared once more and entered the water to rescue the submerged earth. So Krishna is happy, the Lord is happy when he's being glorified. Just like us, if we are glorified, we get all excited and happy. The Lord also gets happy when he's glorified. So before entering the water to rescue the earth, Lord Bo flew in the sky, slashing his tail, his hard hairs quivering. His very glance was luminous, and he scattered the clouds in the sky with his hooves and his glittering white tusks. When the Lord is offered praise by his devotees, his transcendental activities are described. Here are some of the transcendental features of the Lord Bo. As the residents of the upper three planet systems offered their praise to the Lord, it is understood that his body expanded throughout the sky, beginning from the topmost planet, Brahmalok or Satyalok. It is stated in the Brahma Samhita that his eyes are the sun and the moon. Therefore, his very glance over the sky was as illuminating as the sun or the moon. The Lord is described here as Mahidraha, which means either a big mountain or sustainer of the earth. In other words, the Lord's body was big and hard as a Himalayan mountain. Otherwise, how was it possible that he kept the earth on the spot of his white tusks? The poet Jayadev, a great devotee of the Lord, had sung of the incident in his praise of the incarnations. So there's a Dashavtar praise or Stotram from there and there in the Gita Govinda, and they were sung by Jayadev, the poet Jayadev. He says, Vasati Dashana Shikhare Dharani Tab Lagna Shashini Kalank Kaleva Nimagna Keshavadrita Shukra Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare. So all glories to Lord Keshava, who appeared as the bow. The earth was held between his tusks, which appeared like the scars on the moon. Jayadev, the poet, sang this about 1100 years ago. So although Lord Krishna has numerous avatars, Jayadev chose these 10 avatars or incarnation of Krishna and made his famous poem. So it's mentioned that there's hundreds and thousands of avatars, then these 10 avatars that we follow were chosen by the poet Jayadev. He was personally the Supreme Lord Vishnu and was therefore transcendental. Yet because he had the body of a hog, he searched after the earth by smell. So Lord is incarnation of this, the bull or the hog is searching as a hog would search through smell. His tusks were fearful, and he glanced over the devotee Brahmanas engaged in offering prayers. Thus he entered the water. Lord Bull penetrated the water with his hooves, which were like sharp arrows, and found the limit of the ocean, although it was unlimited. He saw the earth, the resting place for all living beings, lying as it was in the beginning of creation, and he personally lifted it. So the house for Manu and his wife and their progeny has been found. And he mentioned that according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the earth is 7 times superior to the other planet system, namely, these are the low planets, there's 14 planetary systems in this universe, and we are above 7. We are number 8 from the bottom and number 7 from the top. In the middle, basically. The earth is 7 times superior to the other planet system, namely Tal, Atal, Talatal, Vital, Rasatal, Patal, etc. like that. Therefore, the earth cannot be situated in the Rasatal planetary system. So it has particular place, is higher, is considered higher for the higher living entities. So it has this particular place in the system. Lord Bo very easily took the earth on his tusks and got it out of the water. Thus he appeared very splendid. Then his anger, glowing like the Sudarshan wheel, he immediately killed the demon Hiranyaksha, who had put the earth there in the first place, although he tried to fight with the Lord. So he tried to stop the Lord bringing the earth out of the water. According to Srila Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami, the Vedic literatures describe the incarnation of Lord Varaha, or the boar, in 2 different devastations, namely the Chakshusha devastation and the Swayambhuva devastation. This particular appearance of the boar incarnation actually took place in the Sambhuva devastation, when all planets other than the higher ones, Jan, Mahar, and Satya, merged in the water of devastation. This particular incarnation of the boar was seen by the inhabitants of the planets mentioned above. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti suggests that the sage Maitreya amalgamated both the boar incarnations in different devastations and summarized them in his description to Vidur. Okay, so thereupon Lord Bo killed the demon with the water, just as a lion kills an elephant. The cheeks and tongue of the Lord became smeared with the blood of the demon, just as an elephant becomes reddish from digging in the purple earth. So this is the pastimes of Lord Varadev, or rather the appearance of Lord Varadev. Next week, we'll do the praise, what the sages, what praise they sang to Lord Varadev. We will discuss them next week. And yeah, very, very interesting. Thank you so much for joining. Rukmini Mataji, Jai Prabhu, Prem Prakash Prabhu, Partha Prabhu, Praveen Mataji, and Sarveshya Mataji. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the class. And we'll start with from the top. Rukmini Mataji, anything interesting you found there?
Yes, Prabhuji, Krishna's Leela is everything. Everything is very, very unbelievable. Everything. So no point of saying anything, because we are just like ant near the, not even ant, thousand part of ant. 1,000 from 1,000 pieces, 1 piece we are. So we just listen and we just chant and we just pray and just do the chanting. Prabhupada is the main person for us, and he is teaching us everything. And through you we are getting the knowledge. That is, we are very, very lucky people, fortunate. So uh, we can't discuss. It's unbelievable, everything, Prabhuji. And we are very, very impressed. We can't, we just keep our eyes become so broad and like surprising.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, Krishna comes in his different incarnations, and that increases our faith that he's there for us, he's looking after us, and that's why he comes. Yada yada dharmasya. So absolutely, we know that God is looking after us. We're very fortunate, and you're right, Mataji. I mean, we don't have to think too much about these things. And somebody gave an example that if a mosquito bites you and you get malaria, then what do? You have to treat the symptoms of malaria. You find what's the antidote, what is the medicine I need to recover from this. You're not going to go in the nitty-gritty of finding which mosquito bit me, out of the millions of mosquitoes. So yeah, we don't need to go into too much detail. The same with Lord Krishna. We just know him. The mental speculators speculate so much about Krishna. He's like this. He's like this. He's like this, and he's got this kind of body, and that's his incarnation. There's mental speculators. We just know Krishna as much as he tells us about himself, and we are fortunate what he tells us to have his pastimes, because they're very purifying for us. But yeah, we don't need to go too much overboard over it. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Haribol.
Jai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Now, I think Lord Varaha, I think everybody will know, is one of the Dashavatars. Lord comes in the form of a wolf for the specific reason of rescuing the earth, which had been plunged into the cosmic ocean by the demon Hiranyaksha. So, unlike other avatars, there's a long story like the Ramayana and Mahabharata. I think he just comes for that one specific reason, to rescue the earth. He appears and disappears after rescuing the earth. So some of the other topics included in this chapter include hearing from pure devotees and a relationship between father and son. So I'll just go through a few points. So Vidura was keen to hear more about Swayambhava, who was the son of Brahma and also a pure devotee of the Lord. So persons that hear from a spiritual master must also hear from pure devotees about the character and activities of pure devotees. So pure devotees always think of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within their heart. So now, hearing from a spiritual master and hearing, about the Lord, and hearing, about the characteristics and activities of pure devotees have the same result, which is, development, devotional service. So, thanks to the father and son relationship. So Swayambhava asked his father how he could render service to him. So a father's duty is to bring up his son until he's grown up. And when the son is grown up, it is his duty to render service to the father. So it says in a purpose, I think those who disobey their father on material grounds are subject to disciplinary reaction for disobedience. So, the disobedience exhibited by the four Kumaras was for a higher purpose. So they were not subject to such reactions. So Brahma gives out several instructions to his son, firstly to beget children, secondly to rule the world in pursuance of principles of devotional service, thirdly to worship the Lord by performance of yajna, and fourthly to give proper protection to the living entities, living beings in the material world. So I'll just go on to the main pastime. So Brahma had been busy engaging the process of creation. So, and the earth had plunged down into the bottom of the Garbhodakshaya ocean. So it's probably happened any early stages of creation. I think so. How we could lift it back and decide, it's best to leave it for the Lord to direct it. So whilst Brahma's still thinking what to do, small ball appeared from his nostril, which is now bigger than the upper portion of a thumb. So the Lord Bull roared with an unusual voice, which echoed in all directions. So he confirms Brahma's suspicions, that he was the supreme Lord that came out of his nostril. So the great sages of the upper planets like Jana, heard the roar, and they started chanting auspicious hymns from the Vedas. So I think the Lord's body had been expanded throughout the sky, to such a size that the earth could be supported on his white tusks. The Lord, being pleased by the chanting of the Vedic mantras, roared once more for his devotees and entered in the water to rescue the submerged earth and search for the earth using the sense of smell, just like a hog would. The Lord will kill the demon Hiranyaksha whilst within the water. I think we're coming to the prayers next week, so I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you. Absolutely. And you mentioned about Manu, the son, how he should serve his father. I heard somewhere that the son is called a putra. Putra means to deliver. A putra, and there's a planet called the Pu. Putra is person who delivers the parents from the Pu planet, something like that. So that's where we get the putra word from. And if the putra is not a good son, then excuse me for mentioning this word, he is mentioned as mutra. So it's just like discarding something. He's good as just that. So it's putra or mutra. Just heard in a class mentioned like that. So thank you so much. Okay, our Partha Prabhuji is there. Prabhuji, anything?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. You said so many nice points, and Jay Prabhu covered almost the entire points. So I echo same thing. Like earlier, I was asking Sri Vrindavan Das Prabhu to tell me about any sloka reference where it mentioned about father to son relationship.
Yeah.
But he mentioned about you need to look at Lord Ram pastimes and understand how a son has to be, how a brother has to be, how a husband should be, like that. So here Srila Prabhupada mentioned very nicely, looking at Swayambhu Manu and Brahma's conversation. So he mentioned that how a father should be and how a son should be. That's very, very nice. And when he was actually doing the meditation, the earth got dissolved into the ocean so deep. And that's where he mentioned to Swayambhu Manu that we can only endeavor and pray to the Lord. He will do the rest. So in our normal life also, we do so many things, we fail, and then we think that, okay, we will not do that again. But it is our responsibility to do endeavor and leave the rest to the Lord. That's the only thing. And the song which you mentioned, Pralay Prabodhi Jala, that is very, very nice song, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I heard, and I'm a favorite of the song now. It's very, very nice song. And I heard one more thing, Prabhuji, like Lord, when he takes the form, he can take any form, but he takes the form which is necessary for that particular instance of time. So where he took the form of a boar here, because boar is only having the quality which can sense the smell of earth. And the earth was so deep in the ocean, so it required that power to smell the earth. And the boar is only the animal which can smell the earth. So he took the form of boar here. That's what it is mentioned by somebody. That's it, Prabhuji. That's all.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. You're absolutely right. The Lord takes the form that is required at the time. He does the needful as well. He's the Avatari, and he's also Yuga Avatar. Every yug, he comes in different forms. Like in the Kali Yuga, he comes as Lord Chaitanya. Although that's the Gupta Avatar, he comes as Lord Chaitanya, as we know. So very good. And now the interesting thing is, in Jayadev's prayers, the eighth avatar is actually Balram, because Krishna is the avatari. He takes all these incarnations, but the eighth avatar is mentioned as Balram. The first one is the Matsya. So it starts with Matsya, Keshav Drita, Mean Sharira, Jaya Jagadish Hare. Then it's the Kurma, Keshav Drita, Kurma Sharira, Jaya Jagadish Hare. And then it's Shukarupa as the bull, Keshav Drita, Shukararupa, Jaya Jagadish Hare. And then we got the Narsingadev, Keshavadrita, Narhari Rupa, Jaya Jagadish Hare. And then Vamandev, Keshavadrita, Vamana Rupa, Jaya Jagadish Hare. And then we got Keshavadrita, Brigupati Rupa, Jaya Jagadish Hare. That's Parshuram. Keshavadrita, Rama Sharira, Jaya Jagadish Hare. And then it says Keshavadrita, Haladara Rupa. So that's Balram, isn't it? Jaya Jagadish Hare. And then you have Keshavadrita, Buddha Sharira, Jaya Jagadish Hare. And then finally, Keshavadrita, Kalki Sharira, Kalki Avatar that is to come. Jaya Jagadish Hare. Sorry, Prabhu, you want to say something?
No, that's all, Prabhuji. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, so that's his chosen 10. That's his team, as they say. He's chosen these 10 avatars for his poem. So yeah, brilliant, very nice. Okay, Praveen Mataji is busy, I think, at the moment. Sarveshi Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. What I wanted to say, it's already been said by the devotees. So I can add only this, that when Brahma was asked to increase the population, he didn't see the earth. And when he didn't see the earth, he wasn't discouraged, because he had full faith in Krishna, he full faith in God, and he knew that if I can't do anything, God will help. So while he was thinking, and it's been said, while he was thinking about this, and then the boar came out of his nostril, and Krishna is Antaryami. He's a super soul. He knows what's going in people's mind and heart. So he does what people, if they have faith in Krishna, then he fulfills the desire. And when he came as boy, it wasn't. A lot of people think it's a material. They think as a material body, but when he ever comes, he's always spiritual. He's a transcendental. Krishna is always transcendental. And so what if we have faith in Krishna, and because Krishna is super soul, he knows, then he fulfills our desires. If we have bad desires, he always fulfills that as well. That's why people do bad things. So if you want to do anything good, he fulfills your desires, and the other way around. And earth is very important, because everything, it's residence of all human, animals, and trees. Without the earth, nothing can exist. And after he lifted the earth, and obviously from people from heaven, all the demigods, and they were very happy, and they glorified. They always glorified Krishna from the three Vedas, and they showered the flowers as well. So because whenever Krishna does anything, anybody does anything, people always praise and show them that they appreciate it. And so main thing is a faith, well, Brahma is a top devotee of Krishna, so he always have his in mind that Krishna will help me if I want to do anything. And because of Krishna, he does what he created everything. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you. Okay, so thank you all so much. We'll do some chanting now. Swashi Mataji would like to start the round. And then Rukmini Mataji, second round, please.
Nama